Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today. It is a Wednesday edition as we approach the midway point of the week. We got a lot to get to, a lot of action last night in SimWorld U. So we're going to bring in old Rick Blaze to talk about it. Good morning, Rick. How are we?
Yo, what's up? It's Wednesday. It's hump day. Let's get to humping.
It's Wednesday, my dudes. Yeah, all right. Iowa, let's start with that one where they went to the Brainiacs of Harvard and they put the beat down on them. One man in particular, Lemarian Sherwood, the potential number one pick in the
Oh my God.
SWBA. How about 36 points, 9 boards, 18 of 22 shooting at one point or really throughout the game. He was seen laughing every time he made a basket. That drew overrated chance from Harvard. It is a bold take to claim a guy with 36 points is overrated. Rick, your takeaways from a massive night. Another one from Lemarian Sherwood.
It's Harvard. What do you want? What do you expect? It's
Come on, I
Harvard.
mean, there's no respect for a 36-point night.
It's Harvard. They don't play basketball in Harvard. It's Harvard. Listen to me. Wait, hold on. Let's do some quick math. Lemarian Sherwood is 7. He's 7 foot, 240 pounds. Am I correct in that?
You sure are.
The biggest guy on Harvard team is 6'9".
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
So he has already an advantage walking in the door. Period.
Okay.
He's 7 foot, 240 pounds. He's bigger than everybody else on the court by a large margin. Sure. Bro, what you expect to happen right now? So Harvard is not recruiting. Harvard is not getting the top quality basketball players in the country. So you don't have the best quality of top basketball players on the team, and you definitely don't have the size. That's like me going against an 8th grader right now. I'm dominating. I'm shacking. I expect him to do what he did. I mean, did somebody? I'm sorry, somebody expected less. I didn't know I didn't know Harvard was the metric for. Oh yeah, this is the one. And it's not, bro. Sure. Relax, y'all relax. Everybody need to relax.
So is that the bar now? If Rick deems the opponent insignificant, we just are going to completely dismiss anything that happens in that game? Because that feels like a very
I'm not dismissing it. I don't take anything
last 2 minutes dismissing.
I don't take anything. Let me say this. All I'm saying is 36 against Harvard is cool. 27 against Duke is better than 36 against Harvard. Is all I'm saying.
Those 9 points, that is a difference. I tell you what.
Yeah, look, man, because the competition is the competition is different, bro. The competition is different.
I'm not denying what it is. But I think Lemarian Sherwood is now, in the eyes of Rick Blaze, clearly, and likely others, is what's the word I'm looking for? Is a product of his own success right now. And he's paying for that own success because he is one of, if not the most dominant. And look, I'm not telling you by this statement saying he's the number one pick, but I don't think it's arguable that he's the most dominant player in college basketball. He's averaging more than 25 points per game. He's probably, I don't know if he's still number one rebounding. He goes, like, this guy missing 4 shots in a game is surprising. That's the bar that he has set for himself. So when he walks out and does a 36, 9, and 6, I don't care who he's playing against. That stat line, I don't. Because that stat line isn't being replicated by Cooper Flagg, Jamison Johnson, or Cooper Kingy Cross. None of those guys who I think are probably, if you had to get a straw poll of the top 4 guys in college basketball to those 4, there is nobody that is doing what Lemarian Sherwood is doing, regardless of opponent, every single night. Now, look, is the case that, well, he played against Harvard a decent one? It sure is. But there's been some guys that have gone out and they've struggled against Harvard or they haven't had dominant nights like Lemarian Sherwood. Lemarian Sherwood is making it look easy. I don't think last night wasn't a, well, now he's the number one pick. This conversation's over. That's not the point. The point is that every single night, the consistency at which he's playing, and we're going to talk about Maryland in a second. But you look at Cooper King Cross, who I have continued to maintain is the guy I would take number one overall. He's had back-to-back inefficient nights. Guess who's not having inefficient nights regardless of opponent? Lamarian Sherwood. He has become the most consistently dominant player in college basketball, and I think it's safe to say, if you look at the last 5 years, he might be the most consistent player since Zion Williamson dominated college basketball in terms of his absolute superiority over the rest of the field. There has not been a guy that has been as consistently dominant as Lamarian Sherwood in college basketball in at least 5 years, if not the last decade.
I don't deny his dominance. I'm not saying his scoring is a fluke. I'm not saying I don't want to take anything away from the young man. Super talented. Whether
We
he was
kind of
7 foot, whether he was 6'9", super talented, right? All I'm saying is y'all need to relax.
I don't think so.
Y'all need to relax. And let me tell you why, and we're gonna move on. I think out of all the players we mentioned that's top three, that potential in the draft, I think his skill set from college to pro, is not apples to apples. I think it's apples to oranges because in the pros, you're gonna have guys that are your size, that is as quick as you are, that are as strong as you are. So you're not gonna be able to just bogart like he's doing in college basketball. But he is dominating college basketball. I agree.
All right, that's a perfect segue because the birth of the big man, or rather the rebirth of the big man, is fully upon us with Lamarian Sherwood and Jamison Johnson heading the way in what could be the first time in more than 15 years that a pair of bigs go number one and number two in the SWBA draft. The return of the bigs, Rick, are we safe to say that, or is this just two guys that are just exceptionally dominant?
I mean, it's the start. I mean, we already had the return of the Mac. We got the return of the new Superman coming up. So why not return of the bigs? Everything goes full circle. I believe this is the start. I think after you got Sherwood, you got Jamison Johnson, you probably got some freshmen that's coming in. That kind of a more traditional big. I believe you can win with a traditional center big. I just think the NBA is void of those individuals talented, but those who are good at that, they dominate. It's not a big sample size in the SWBA currently. Joel Embiid is probably the biggest person to think of, but he dominates. I mean, he does very well for his team and playing that position. So I think it is returning. It's going to take a few seasons before you start to see more traditional bigs, but everything repeats itself. Even Junko Pants.
Who the heck is Junko Pants?
It's Jinko Pants.
Oh, it's this foliage crap again. You not knowing how to pronounce words. Look, here's
the South, baby. We have our own language in the South.
I think you have your own language on your own. I think there is a return of the big man. I also think that it's ever so slightly, I don't want to say over dramatized, but if you look at the ESPN mock draft, if you look at the SimWorld TV draft or the SimWorld U draft board, I think that is through SimWorld TV. There's these two guys at the top, which is Lamarian Sherwood and Jamison Johnson, and there's a really big delta between the next dominant center. And so right now, if you look at ESPN's mock draft, I'm just going off of what they produced. Got to support the home business here. Tyson Simpson is the next pick as a big man. He's number 12. The next center that goes after him, I believe, I think Johnny Baldwin is deemed a forward. So you don't get another big man until 28 at Malik McNeil going to the Boston Celtics out of Texas Tech. If you look at the SWBA draft board, from, again, SimWorld TV, Sherwood, Jamison Johnson, number 1 and number 2. Tyson Simpson, not on this list. I think that's just clearly an oversight by them because he's obviously on there. The next center is Malik McNeil at number 28. So you have these two dominant centers. I think you can we've forgotten about Tyson Simpson. Let's just say that right now. He was toe-to-toe with Jamison Johnson at the college or at the high school level. He had the terrible year at Virginia, ends with the ACL tear that he's rehabbing now, and he's going to be in the upcoming draft. You've got those two guys, you've got this second guy, and then the rest of the center crop, is really not elite. It's not exceptional. It's role player-esque. And I think that mirrors SWBA, right? You've got Nikola Jokic, you've got Joel Embiid, if you really want to throw him in there, which you have to, but his injury concerns are still going to concern you. And then, do you consider Victor Wembanyama a center? Who's the next center after those guys that is single-handedly dominant, right? Okay, yeah, you've got Rudy Gobert. Sure. You've got Karl Anthony Towns, which again, I guess, yeah, he's starting a center, but is he single-handedly dominant? He has been this year. He's been really good. But I think this return of the bigs has really been carried by a small few, a small elite few, but a small few. Because if you look around SWBA, what has changed Oklahoma City into a championship from, hey, this is a really good young team, to this might be the best team in professional basketball? Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, I don't think anybody was lining up to say Isaiah Hartenstein is an all-star. He was a great center, and he's getting paid good starting center minutes. But he's what changed an Oklahoma City team inside. He's not a dominant center by any stretch. He does his job. He does it exceptionally well. He does the right things. So I think the bigs, to say it's returning, I think it's sort of returning, but it's also just we've got fortunate time period where we are getting elite men at that position in the same way that 6 years ago we were getting this elite incoming and maturation process of guards in basketball that really shifted the ball from being on the wing where it was LeBron, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard to going towards more of the guards. I just think that's the ebb and flow that we're at. I don't think the bigs ever disappeared. I just think that right now we're in the crux of maybe the most dominant stretch of big man basketball play from, again, the elite few at the top, Rick.
Yeah, and I think you made the great point. The Hartenstein comment, who does a phenomenal job for his team. In the era of the dominant bigs, Hartenstein would be like the fourth center off the bench. I mean that's how, when it was dominant, that's how it was. So I believe once you get those guys like the Sherwoods, like the Jamison Johnsons, and those are going to follow, like the Tyson Simpsons, their impact is going to be so big, pun intended, that you're going to see, this is what it's like. To have a big that's really dominant. It's going to make a guy like Hartstein, who you get paid, who get a 70, 80 million, $100 million contract. You're like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's stop that. We got a guy like Tyson Simpson, and we got a guy like Jamison Johnson who does everything at a very high level from that position. I believe once these bigs start coming in and you're sprinkling in now, you're going to see once the league sees how the really, really talented bigs work and how they really dominate, I believe you're going to start seeing a change of a guard slowly. Again, it's going to all switch back over in the bigs. In the next 4 or 5 years, I expect about 10, 12 really, really good bigs.
Yeah, shooting guards, not the position. Shooting players that play the guard position shifted the league. Wings shifted the league. There was a fire sale on both of those positions. It's becoming big men. Real quick, just as context, here's the second fan returns for SWBA All-Star voting. These are the centers in the list. Nikola Jokic. I'm going to call Victor Wembanyama center. I don't know that he necessarily is, but we're going to call him that because he's 7'4". Alperen Sengun, Joel Embiid, and Karl Anthony Towns. That's it. And you could take your pick among those. I would say 3 of those guys are elite. Sengun could join him. That just says, I think kind of underscored the point. All right, let's move on to a team. We mentioned them briefly. That's a bit of a struggle. Cooper King Cross, back-to-back stinkers. However, last night wasn't too bad of a stinker. Does hit the game winner. But now this team wins both of those games. They continue to stay on the right side of basketball. Your thoughts on Maryland? Is this a team that we take seriously? Should we really, really consider them a contender for a national championship?
No.
No.
No. No. Cooper King Cross is a scoring savant. And he's really, really good. Everybody knows this. But no, national championship aspiration is a lot. I wouldn't put that on anybody. DC, Maryland area, y'all need to relax. No, he's entertaining. He's Showtime basketball. The team is fun to watch because he's on it. But the measure of the team is not really one player; it's the combination of all players. If you take Cooper King and Cross off this team, they probably don't have 4 wins, no more than 4 wins. There's no one else on the team collectively that'd be like, okay, yeah, we got a plan for these other guys too because they can kill us. No, Cooper King, CKC is the straw that stirs this drink, and he makes it go. He's the engine that makes it go. So, national, I love him. Good guy, good team, but national championship aspirations. Relax.
All right, Rick, if I say Maryland, you're not player, because of course I think the first thing that's going to come to your mind is Cooper
Crab
King
cakes.
Cross.
Oh.
No, we're talking Maryland basketball. All right, if I say Maryland basketball team, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? And it's not Cooper King Cross. Like, if you think this is the team, this is who Maryland is, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Crab cakes.
Crab cakes, okay. You're just hungry. You haven't eaten breakfast yet. Clearly, it's 6 o'clock in the morning for you in Houston. You're just famished. I think for me, how about this? Why am I asking Rick questions, folks? It's clearly just making your own goddamn point. So, if I'm thinking Maryland basketball, the first thing that comes to my mind, or at least it was, is a good offensive team. This team's not a good offensive team. Okay, they're 74th in the league in shooting, both 3-point percentage and 3-pointers made. They're 30th in the country in field goal percentage, but that's just because Cooper King Cross can get to the paint and does everything exceptionally well, and they got some good big men. They are 41st in the country in scoring with total points at 70. What this team is a defensive juggernaut. And we saw that against Colorado State when their big guys, their top 4 scorers, shot a combined 10 for 37. They are number 5 in the league in opponent points per game, 61.5. They're first in the league in blocks. This team, despite having this central offensive dynamo, who, by the way, is only shooting 28% from deep. That's a team high, by the way. He's only made 16 3-pointers. That's a team high, by the way. Their defense is what carries them. And I think that's replicable in Hoopsteria. But the problem is you are going to go up against teams that have offensive dynamos themselves who just are more consistent. Now, again, I will continue to say, I'm a big fan of Cooper King Cross. I like his upside as the number 1 pick. But you're going to have to play some combination at some point if you're going to win a national championship, one would assume, of Cooper Flagg, of Dylan Harper, of Jamison Johnson, of Glory Tate, of Donta Walker, who we've forgotten about just because they haven't been playing, of everything that Alabama throws at you. I don't think Maryland has the offensive firepower outside of Cooper King Cross to win a national championship if their defense has to try to slow down an elite team. They have not proven to find somebody else that you can say, Cooper, it's not running for you. What else can we get? They have one guy scoring in double figures, and it's Jamari Polk Jr. coming off the bench. I think that underscores it.
Yeah, and folks, for those who are listening and watching live, I just want to say what Marsha is saying, he took a long time to say he agrees with me.
I think that was pretty obvious. I don't think there was any subtlety to that one. But yes, I do agree with you, Rick. I do not believe that Maryland is a team that can win a national championship if the current offensive structure exists. All right, we had a handful of games, so let's roll the tape and get to our SimWorld U wrap-up from a Tuesday night. We're going to start out in Rutgers, where you want to talk about
wrap it up, guys.
Not really getting rolling offensively. New Mexico 16 first half points. Ireland early 0 for 6 in the first half, and Rutgers led by Dylan Harper's 24 pull away for a 71-51 win. Princeton beat San Diego State, a pair of teams once on the rise. Princeton continues to be that. Tyshawn Penn with 19 points as the Tigers move to 11-2, the 20th ranked team in the nation, making a case to move up. Hey, we talked Maryland.
State, where you at?
It was a slow start for Cooper King Cross, but he finishes strong with the game winner late as the Terps take down UNLV 69-68 at home. A much-needed win for Maryland. Georgetown, we saw this one live. 61 first half points from the Hoyas. They blow out the Spiders 100-55. They have 6 guys end in double figures, 8 guys with at least 8 points. Brandon Smith with 16, Nick Donato with 15. VCU Rams and the Purdue Boilermakers. Purdue gets the win on the road 80-75. Pierre DuPont dominates his way to 26 points and 7 boards. Darius Player, how about a 13-point, 14 rebound, double-double for the now 6-7 Boilermakers. Big East Hoops, how about Villanova? A little drama in this one from Michigan. Richard Pizarski, Lorenzo Phenom get into it in a
always drama in Michigan.
Aaron Lovejoy with 16 points to lead the way for the Wildcats. They're now 10-3. Xavier at home against Ohio State. I wish they probably stayed home. Ohio State with a dominant 84-54 win. They blow up the first half 44-18. Brian Webb with 19. Cody Johnson 18-5. Hey, we talked a little bit about Iowa. It was all Sherwood. 36-9-6, 18-22. 47-21 first half as Iowa rolls their way to a 93-56 win over the Crimson. St. John's and Jackson State. This one was not close as well. Jared Quinney takes off with 20 points in this one. Shea King adds 18 for St. John's. Kayshawn Shep, slow night from the potential lottery pick in the win. Head over to SMU, the Mustangs in the nightcap of our CBS broadcast. They fall to Michigan State 73-62.
Lay down, boy. You look sleepy.
With a big night for Michigan State, 26 points. It's McKellen Duvall with 14 to lead SMU in that one. Wichita State taking on Penn State at home, and Penn State made this one a laugher, 90-60, 31 points from Nick Beal in the win for the Nittany Lions. And that's our SimWorld U wrap up. We've got more hoops coming for you tonight. It sure was a lot. I'm parched. I'm gonna have to get some more coffee in this cup. We've got the SimWorld U. That too. I don't know if they're that good down in South Florida in the winter. But anyway, doubleheader tonight on SimWorld TV. It is capped off by our SimWorld U Game of the Week. St. John's and Iowa. Kayshawn Ship trying to rebound from a quiet night last night. Iowa trying to keep things rolling at home after that big night against Harvard last night from Lamarian Sherwood. That's coming up at 8 o'clock. It follows up a Rutgers-UConn matchup. Dylan Harper, Cooper Flack. Two of the biggest recruits in their recruiting class last season. Two potential number 1 overall picks next season going at it at 6:30. So an absolutely entertaining weeknight in SimWorld U tonight. Wednesday starts at 6:30. All right, we're back tomorrow morning. Rick gets a respite from his morning duties. We'll be joined by special guests tomorrow morning. We'll keep that under wraps until you get to tune in and figure it out. But we'll be seeing Rick back here on Friday morning. So Rick, great chatting with you. We'll see you on Friday. Thank you all for tuning in here on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.
This has been a presentation of SimWorld Sports.